Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining me in another of my videos. So, there's been a bit of reaction to the old fruit. John got in touch and said we should all be eating raw fruit wherever we are in the world. And a number of people have either agreed or disagreed. But I thought represent one of those opinions. I have selected an email here. We also have some feedback on Barry. And so, bless him. So we'll have a look at those as well. So this first one is about the fruit, and this chap here, David, says, I agree with John. I researched this thoroughly some years ago with my wife, and I tried 100% raw plant-based diet. The problem here is in Europe, it isn't really practically possible. So we now eat some cooked grains, pulses, root vegetables, etc., but it's still at least 50% raw. But definitely no meat or dairy anymore. Fresh, locally produced fruits and veggies are the best, of course. And at the moment, we're enjoying eating extremely nutritious persimmons, whatever that is, persimmons from our own fruit forest. Good health and Happy New Year to all of you and your listeners from David. And thank you very much, David, for that. And John will be very happy to hear that. Although, of course, I suppose my argument was simply, similar to what you're saying there, apart from the meat aspect and the dairy aspect, was that if you live in the West, as we do, in England, as I do, you can't just go to the hedgerows and pick fruit because it's not actually there. You'd have to go to a supermarket or have to have it imported in if you are just purely eating fruit. I think that was what my point was, and John did start off with his saying, well, back in the day, our ancestors were in the warmer part of the globe. Well, that may be true, and I'm not disputing that. It's just that we're not there now. Anyway, so you've got a fan there, David, so I thought I would throw that up. Now, yesterday, as you know, I had Barry email me and say that I didn't think that these 15-minute cities were going to entrap us, and there was no problem whatsoever, but we did have a couple of interesting emails on that. So let's have a look at those. Here's one for Barry, says Stephen. He says, my mother has been in hospital since the end of October, where she has had a heart pacemaker fitted. Now she is linked up to a WBAN, a wireless body area network, i.e. the Internet of Things. I am now trying to find out if it is the Medical Data Storage Centre computer which is making the decisions about my mother, and if the signal carries on to the hospital/doctor to make decisions. I seen a report on UK Column News that AI is making decisions on people who are waiting for liver transplants. And that's from Stephen. So yes, so the Internet of Things, the smart cities, the internet communications, and the AI making decisions there, when perhaps people should be making those decisions. And some people will say, well, but the computers are much faster. They can sift through the internet. They can scrape all the information together and make a decision. You would hope that that's fine if then somebody can look at all that information and say, well, actually, yeah, that's a good point, but that is not a good point. Who knows? Anyway, thank you very much, Stephen, for that. And this one is a little bit longer from Mark, and Mark says, Richard, Happy New Year to you and Julia and your family. Thank you very much. He says, the last year and 3 months, although I try to be very healthy and take all kinds of healthy things and walk miles, always have done, I have had to take tablets for my heart. This, alas, is something which runs in my family and is the usual clicked high cholesterol story, so I won't bore you with the details. As I take so many health things, I did not need to have a stent, etc., which is the usual practice. Well, I'm very pleased that you didn't have to do that. Anyway, cutting to the chase, he says, a month or so before Christmas, I've noticed an almost burning chest and throat, as if acid reflux had caused it, or digestion. I couldn't shift it, and on one of my walks, I was fine until I headed out of the front door, and I immediately started to get the ingestion worsen, and then spreading down both arms and hurting my wrists and fingers. The fourth and fifth ones on both hands would go cold. I would feel faint, ill, and as if I was about to have a heart attack. It continued for nearly 25 minutes to half an hour until I got to where I was going, and once indoors, it stopped. This happened 5 times since, and every time I go indoors, I'm fine. The other day, the weather was clearer, but this occurred, but significantly less. So there is definitely a correlation between the fog, air, and this. He says, I reported to my GP and family way before anyone started to discuss the fog, and I said it coincides with it. There you have it. And then I see the links above. The senator of Florida is trying to get cloud seeding with silver iodide, and see an article that he's given me as well with Wikipedia. Alas, he says Barry is incorrect. So that's about the fog that we had. And if you are suffering with that fog, the fog vid, I think they've dubbed it. Be interesting to know if you are suffering badly with it, and if it clears, as the weather has cleared down here where I am, whether you are able to cope better as a result of that, and whether it's sort of clearing up. Anyway, so that was those little bit of feedback which I wanted to bring to you. And then, of course, people now, thank you very much. You are sending me the URLs to interesting articles that we can share and discuss. And don't forget, forum is a place where you can add those extra discussions and add your points if you so wish. This one is something which isn't new, I suppose, but this has been out in the Economic Times, I think is the magazine or the webpage. And this is, again, a Bill Gates story. Bill Gates' shocking new malaria solution unveiled as genetically modified mosquitoes turn into flying vaccinators. And there he is looking very, oh dear, I'm just trying to help the world. By killing everybody. In groundbreaking and controversial news, researchers funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation at Leiden University Medical Center have developed a revolutionary approach to combat malaria. The team has created genetically modified mosquitoes capable of delivering vaccines directly through their bites, earning them the nickname flying vaccinators. Now, this has also been thought of that there would be mechanical, drone-like mosquitoes I've seen. Have you seen that? In which they buzz around. Now, the thing about the mosquitoes is how can you guarantee that a mosquito, genetically modified or otherwise, will actually reach everybody if you believed, for example, if you had a mental aberration that for some reason you forgot about 2020, you forgot about 2021 when the rollout of, what came out, medical interventions, and that vaccinations in and of themselves might be beneficial, or that you would have the choice, would you not, to take a vaccination or not? What about the fact that a mosquito may bite you and then may inject you with this serum, whatever it is, but surely you should have the choice whether you want to have that injected into you or not. Now, admittedly, an ordinary mosquito can inject some of its little harmful poisons in, and you can take things like methylene blue, I think, is something that helps you get rid of malaria, and nobody wants any of that. But shouldn't you have the choice? Next it'll be fleas or bees or wasps or insects or anything that they'll genetically modifying and carry a certain medical intervention that you are powerless then to have your own autonomy over. And surely free speech, your own personal private decisions to your medical health is your own affair, I would have said. But, these people who come up with these concepts and ideas and want to launch it on because they want to do what they want to do to the planet, have no personal idea of allowing anybody to have their own free will, their own free volition, their choice. It is an outrage. Anyway, I'll leave the link. You can check that out. But what do you think about that? Mosquitoes that have been GM modified to go around and deliver a payload which may or may not be of benefit to you and your children. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for stopping by. I shall be back again with more stories. And thank you for continuing to support the channel and send me those very important URLs. Until next time, goodbye.